Evening. Dan Sparce here. Some people call me an investigative journalist. Me? I prefer to think of myself as a historian. Either way, never been a better time to be one in Draft League City. The shit that's going on here is going to be talked about for years to come. Otherworldly summonings, manipulation, power struggles, and now cult activity in the wasteland of what used to be a thriving city? This place is a freaking gold mine right now. Now, I plan on being the one to tell these stories to the world, and this Shroomraver fella seems to be in the middle of everything that's been happening in the past few seasons of Draft League, so I started there. I did a deep dive on his partnership with known criminal Slippery Pete a week ago, intending on exposing some of the shady shit that's been happening here lately. A guy who the DLPD can't seem to decide whether to go after or let be, working with fugitives from justice while fighting fugitives from justice? Draft League hero or villain? There's your headline. Look, there's plenty more to talk about in this city, and initially, I'd planned on doing just that. But my plans were about to be derailed in quite spectacular fashion, with an unexpected visitation. Whoa. Okay. Who are you? And what the fuck are you doing in my house? Mr. Dan Sparce. I think it's high time you and I had a little talk, don't you? Hello everyone, Shroomraver here, and welcome to the MBC Week 7. Yes, indeed. Hope everyone had a good Christmas and New Year. Obviously, we took a bit of a break during the holiday period, but we are back with the MBC, hoping to get a good kickoff into 2025. Coming off the back of 2 losses, we're still in a good position on the table, but today we are taking on FinFin and the Blüdhaven Palafinfins. Links down in the description below. Make sure you check them out along with everybody else. We both really need this one to be a win to try and cement a good spot going into the final couple of weeks of the season for that playoff picture. Not going to be an easy one. Our opponents can choose from Terrapagos, Goldengo, Quaquaval, Ogerpon Hearthflame, Glamora, Flygon, Umbreon, Kilowattrel, Rabombi, and Quagsire. The Terra Captains on my opponent's side are going to be the Quaquaval and the Flygon. Both of those are very spooky, scary setup sweepers, potentially. With Terra, that could turn them into some pretty dangerous mons. So, who are we going to be bringing to take on this team? Well, first off, as ever, we have Iron Valiant. It is a Life Orb set. It is a kind of mixed attacker, mostly special. Moonblast, Close Combat, Vacuum Wave, and Shadow Ball. This is going to be one of the best sets overall to take on as many of his things as possible. We are going to be outspeeding, I believe it is, the Ogerpon on there, naturally. Moonblast, fairly spammable into his team outside of the likes of Goldengo, for which we have Shadow Ball. Moonblast into Close Combat should KO any given Glamora, and, you know, outside of, again, Rabombi, we should be hitting things pretty hard. Hopefully the combination of Moonblast to Close Combat will also 2-hit KO the Quagsire if that shows. Next up, we have a sub-Calm Mind Leftovers Raging Bolt with Thunderbolt and Draco Meteor. Very physically defensive and very specially defensive. It is fully mixed on that side to take hits on both sides. This thing should be able to set up subs and Calm Minds on the likes of potentially Goldengo after a Make It Rain, Terrapagos almost certainly, Ogerpon, Umbreon, a bunch of things that this guy can set up on and hopefully do some good work in the mid to late game. Then we have a mixed defensive Pecharunt. This is a Sugarberry mon to be taking at least one hit from that Flygon, as well as some rogue earth powers from the likes of Glamora and Terrapagos, as well as Stomping Tantrum from Ogerpon. This is basically my Ogerpon counter. There is very little an Ogerpon can do to Pecharunt, even with just 76 into defense and a bold nature. Most of the rest into special defense, just to balance that out. Malignant Chain, Shadow Ball, Toxic, and Recover going on there. I want to try and get a Toxic onto that Terrapagos if at all possible. Next up, we have a very physically defensive Rindoberry Blastoise, just to ensure it can at least take one Ivy Cudgel from the likes of that Ogerpon. We have Flip Turn, Body Press, Rapid Spin, and Yawn. There's some decent setup options on my opponent's side, the likes of Terrapagos, Gholdengo, well, any of the top 4 really, as well as the Flygon. So hopefully we can be taking on those guys, get some spins off. My opponent's team is very hazard heavy, so I want to be able to make sure I can get a spin off where possible. Next up, we are going with a very specially defensive Assault Vest, Ting-Lu. We have Ruination, Earthquake, Heavy Slam, and Body Press, 144 HP, 124 into attack, but we are running an Impish Nature just to be able to take hits on both sides. This is one of my better answers to the Gholdengo, which I want to get rid of ASAP, just in case he does decide to hazard stack early. And the final member of my team is going to be Choice Scarfed Meloetta. We have gone 216 into speed, that is allowing us to outpace a Quaquaval after an Aqua Step with the Scarf, Psyshock, Shadow Ball, U-Turn, and Trick. Trick there just in case he wants to bring the Umbreon as a go-to switch in. We've gone Terra Dragon on this. That isn't going to give us any kind of offensive presence. We're not running Terra Blast, for example, but it is going to allow us to hopefully tank some hits from the Ogerpon and make him think twice with the Quaquaval as well. Two of the big, real powerful physical threats on FinFin's team. So that is the team we are going to go into this match with. Let's get into the team previews and see what he's decided to bring against us. So I unfortunately didn't quite get to record in time, so I didn't get my side of the battle screen. My full battle is recorded, so don't worry. My opponent has decided to bring Flygon, Gholdengo, Terrapagos, Ribombee, the Ogerpon Hearthflame, and the Glamora. So big things to note there. It looks like we're going pretty heavy hazard stack. FinFin in his past battles has shown that he likes leading with Glamora. So that's kind of what we're anticipating here. No Terra Quaquaval is super nice, but that is a Terra Ground Flygon that we've got going on there. Now, either way, knowing that he likes to lead with Glamora, I'm going to lead him with my Blastoise. So let's get into the battle and see how things play out. So, here we go with the battle against FinFin and the Blüdhaven Palafinfins. So, good luck, have fun to FinFin. He is indeed going to lead with that Glamora, as anticipated. We're going to go with Blastoise. Now, if he has the Energy Ball, I have a Rindoberry, so that's not going to matter all that much. I am just going to Flip Turn here, looking to do about 30 to 40%. That will get some T-Spikes up, but that's okay. I have Removal, and I have Pecharunt. So I'm just going to Flip Turn into my Meloetta here, and try and put some really early pressure on my opponent. Now, FinFin is indeed going to go for that early hazard stack, so there go the rocks. That's okay. I can get rid of them with Blastoise as long as the Gholdengo isn't kicking around. I'm going to go for Flip Turn. That's going to do a clean like 40-ish%, which is really good damage to have. The T-Spikes are going to go up, but that's okay. I do have my Pecharunt to immediately get rid of them if I so wish. However, I am going to go into the Meloetta. I will get poisoned, but it's okay. Meloetta is my Scarfer. It's kind of hit and run, and it's going to put big pressure on him very early and make him basically decide what he wants to take some pretty big damage. So as I say, I am going to go into my Meloetta here. We're going to take some rocks damage, and we are going to take the T-Spikes and get that first level of poisoning. But I am just going to go for Psyshock here. Given that he is hazard stack, he may not want to go into Gholdengo immediately. And there is a chance that I am just a bulky Meloetta, so he could outspeed. He doesn't know I'm Scarfed yet, I am just going to lock in on Psyshock and hope that he's going to stay in with Glamora and try and get some damage, or maybe some spikes or something like that. So, opting not to Terra, I'm going to go for the Psyshock, and as you'll see, that is going to clean out the Glamora. So we take a really early 6-5 lead, and those Toxic Spikes, they're not going to be able to be gotten up anymore. If I can get rid of them with Pecharunt or Blastoise, then they're gone forever, and that's going to put a lot less pressure onto my team. So in comes the Rabombi. Now, I'm going to opt again not to Terra here, just in case he decides to just go for Moonblast, which is something he could do. I'm actually anticipating the webs to come out here. It looks like he wants to hazard stack as much as possible early. And he doesn't know I'm Scarfed, but I am going to reveal that. I don't mind doing so this early in the game. I am just going to click Psyshock and try and get huge damage onto the Rabombi. That way, if I can get rid of the hazards, it really limits him being able to get Sticky Webs up again if he chooses to go for it here. And puts a lot of pressure on what seems to be his tactic of getting hazards up and trying to keep them there. So, going to go for the Psyshock, revealing that I am Choice Scarfed, and that is going to do a huge amount of damage to this Rabombi, as the webs do indeed go up. So Rabombi has been taken down very low indeed. Meloetta getting some really, really good value early on. Now, he knows I'm Scarfed at this point, he must do. So this would be his option to switch into the Goldengo. But he has shown a kind of predilection to stay in, as he did with Glamora. So while I'm considering predicting the switch into the Goldengo and going into Pecharunt and then hard doubling into my Ting-Lu, I am just going to stay in and click Psyshock on the off chance that he stays in with Rabombi to try and get a free switch into the Goldengo. But FinFin is going to withdraw the Rabombi, unfortunately for me, and he is going to make that switch into the Goldengo. We're going to go for the Psyshock here. As you'll see, that is going to do nothing at all. This is looking to be very invested in HP. He could well be a fully specially defensive set because it's looking like he's not max Fizz Def, max HP. So we didn't go into Pecharunt when we could have. That's a bit unfortunate. But I do have a pretty good answer to Goldengo, especially if he isn't an offensive set. And that's going to be AV Ting-Lu. If I have to take the poison, so be it, you know. But I am just going to go into my Ting-Lu here and see what he wants to do with Goldengo. So, going to get out of there with Meloetta, as I say, and I'm going to go into my designated answer to Goldengo, and that is, of course, going to be my Ting-Lu. The rocks aren't going to do a whole huge amount. The Toxic Spikes are going to be a little more problematic. And as you'll see, my opponent here, if we take the webs as well, doesn't matter, Ting-Lu dirt slow. Vessel of Ruin, so many things happening as we bring in Ting-Lu. But there's the recover from Goldengo, so FinFin kind of just looking to try and stall out Meloetta. But it does afford us that free switch into my Ting-Lu. Now, I don't want these T-Spikes on the field, and the one thing I'm pretty sure he's not going to be doing here is going for Shadow Ball. So there is the option that I can just go into my Pecharunt and absorb those T-Spikes, and at the same time, scout for Focus Blast or Dazzling Gleam, something along those lines. So that is looking like the play I'm going to want to make here. Get rid of those T-Spikes, and then he can't get them up again. Now, we're going to switch out first with Ting-Lu, which means he's staying in with Goldengo. Not necessarily something I expected, given my type matchup, but we're going to go into our Pecharunt here. The T-Spikes, gone from the field, they're gone forever now. We do take the Sticky Web, which is a little bit unfortunate, but it's okay because in comes Dazzling Gleam. That looks to be his coverage for my, my Ting-Lu. This is fine. But I don't want to be staying in here because this is presumably where a Shadow Ball could very easily come out. So my play is to double right on back into Ting-Lu and start hitting this Goldengo because this is pretty much what Ting-Lu was brought for. So, gonna go back out with Pecharunt and bring back in my Ting-Lu. Obviously the Sticky Webs are still there and the rocks are still there, but that's really not too much of an issue for my Ting-Lu to be dealing with. Vessel of Ruin is going to weaken this incoming Shadow Ball, and as you'll see, with that and my investment, that's going to do basically nothing to Ting-Lu. Very happy with that. The Spadef drop is a little unfortunate, but I'm well aware that with my investment and item, we'll be able to take another Dazzling Gleam. So what I'm going to do here is just stay in and click Earthquake. No real reason not to do this. It's going to hopefully do a huge amount of damage, especially if he is that specially defensive set that we thought he was. So here comes the Dazzling Gleam. That's not going to do over half of what we've got left, and I'm going to go for Earthquake. As you'll see, that's doing a really, really huge amount of damage to this Goldengo. But the last thing I want him doing is recovering. I'm pretty sure he's just going to go for the Dazzling Gleam again, but there's not too much I want to go into here, because I'll take a hit and then the sticky webs can come in and he might be able to outspeed and pick up a kill. Bearing in mind that Goldengo is pretty much the main thing that Ting-Lu was brought for, I am going to stay in here and click Earthquake just in case he predicts a switch out and goes for a recover. So in comes the subsequent Dazzling Gleam, and with that poison damage and the Spadef drop, unfortunately, that is going to spell the end of my Ting-Lu, but it's done a really nice job in severely weakening this Goldengo. Now, this webs could have been a problem, but for the fact that I have Scarfed Meloetta. Now, this is designed to outspeed a Quaquaval at +1, so even if he was max speed, which is looking like he isn't, we are going to be outpacing this Goldengo here, and we should be able to pick up the KO with Shadow Ball. And there it is. Shadow Ball is going to come in from Scarfed Meloetta, and that is going to pick up the KO on Goldengo. This is pretty big. His spin blocker is now gone, which means Blastoise, hopefully, will have a chance at some point to get rid of the webs and the rocks. However, he will know that I am scarfed into Shadow Ball, so this could be an opportunity for Terapagos to come out if he wants to go into it this early. As it turns out, he doesn't. He is going to go into the Flygon. Now, I do want to save my Meloetta. There is still a chance for it to get off probably 2 hits with that poison damage. So what I'm going to do is go into Blastoise, who is very physically defensive and has the best chance of taking a hit from this guy. So yeah, I'm going to call back Meloetta to save it to try and get off a couple of hits later on. And we are going to go into Blastoise, take a bit of rocks damage. That's okay, as in comes, after the sticky web, 3, 2, 1, getting ahead of myself, Dragon Dance. This is a little bit scary, but we will be able to take 1 hit. Hopefully so. Now, if he'd have just gone for Earthquake there, we would have probably been in a bit of a better position because it shouldn't have done over half. What I'm going to do here is try and threaten him out. I need this Flygon to go. Not necessarily to just drop, but I need it to switch out. So I'm going to go for Yawn here and try and take a hit, force the +1 Flygon out, and then go for Rapid Spin. So in comes the non-terrored Earthquake, and that does way too much damage. We're going to go for Yawn, and this could be very crucial because he didn't Terror, but the damage that he's doing there with that Earthquake is telling me that not only is this adamant Flygon, it's also Soft Sand, because we know he's not Choiced, we know he's not Life Orb, but we know he's a boosting item. So that is adamant Soft Sand, and that is a little bit scary. But we have gone for the Yawn, so he is going to have to switch out if he doesn't want to go to sleep, and that is exactly what he's going to do. He is going to go into the Rabombi here, I guess potentially sacking it off, but this is the chance, and we are going to be able to get that Rapid Spin off. That's huge. No more webs, no more rocks, and his Rabombi is 1 hit away from going down. Now, I am just going to go for Rapid Spin again. I have no reason not to. If he wants to go for webs, he's not going to get them up. As it is, you see which way the wind is blowing. Going to go for Moonblast. That is going to take out Blastoise, but Blastoise has really saved us here by getting that Yawn off, forcing the Flygon out, and facilitating the Rapid Spin. Now I just need any hit to take out this Rabombi. A light breeze would blow it over at this point. But I don't want to go into my Iron Valiant just now and take a Life Orb hit. So what I'm going to do is go back into my Meloetta, and from there I can just click U-turn. So, Meloetta is going to be the choice. In it comes, as you'll see, no more hazards, and I'm going to be able to go for U-turn here. The reason I go for U-turn, it will take him out, and it kind of allows me to control what FinFin goes into. So as you'll see, the U-turn is going to come in and take out the Rabombi. If I'd have gone for Psyshock, he could very easily have just gone into Flygon and tried to set up again. What I want to do is prevent that from happening, because I want to take as many of his mons down before he can get that Flygon going. So now I can start trying to control what he brings in. And I opt to go into Iron Valiant here, because if I go into anything else, he's going to bring in the Flygon. But if I go into Iron Valiant, he should bring in the Ogerpon, and from there, I should be able to 1v1 it with Pecharunt. So, as I say, I'm going to go into Iron Valiant. If I'd have gone into anything else there, Flygon would have come in, and I'd have had to use Pecharunt up trying to take on Flygon. But I need Pecharunt to take on Ogerpon, so what I'm doing here, or trying to do by bringing in Iron Valiant, is tempting in the Ogerpon so that I can then go into Pecharunt and try and 1v1 it. That's the plan at any rate. I just want to tempt that Ogerpon in and not the Flygon. And what do you know? That's exactly how things play out. This is working out perfectly for me. That is exactly what I wanted to see. Because now I can just, as you see, not waste any time and just double hard back into Pecharunt to try and 1v1 this threat. So, gonna get out of there with Iron Val. Don't want to take a hit from Ogerpon because I will just probably die. And I'm going to go into my Pecharunt here as the Play Rough comes in, and that is going to miss. Now, that's unfortunate, but realistically speaking, it would have done about 12 damage because Pecharunt is a monster. Obviously, that Play Rough would have ruined my Iron Val. What I can do here is go for Malignant Chain because he does not 2-hit KO us from this range whatsoever. So I can chain, recover, and chain again. As you see, Ivy Cudgel are going to come in and do very little. We're going to go for Malignant Chain, and that is going to straight Oko with a crit. Now, that crit did matter, because I would normally have done 75 to 90, and basically what it means is that I don't get to go for a recover next turn and then subsequently take him out. Unfortunately, I think we all know what this means is about to happen. With Pecharunt in at below half health, this is looking like prime pickings for that Flygon, which is still in the back of my mind as a big threat. He has Flygon left, and he has Terrapagos left, and realistically, both of them can still win this game. Now, it's going to be the Flygon, of course it is. Now, my play here is to go for Recover. I should be able to take an Earthquake with my Sugar Berry, but what I'm thinking he's going to go for here is probably DD. So I'm going to go for Recover on the predicted Dragon Dance, then I'm going to drop a Toxic, and then try and Recover Stall if possible, because I need to wear him down as much as possible. Now Finn is not going to play ball here, he's just going to go Raw Earthquake. It pops my Sugar Berry, and as you'll see, it doesn't KO, which is nice. Here is where I'm going to go for the Recover. And I thought it was a bit odd that he was choosing not to Terra. I guess he figured that he would be able to take me out from that range, not seeing the Sugar Berry coming. What I'm going to do now, though, is try and drop that Toxic and hope that he's going to see this as an opportunity to set up. And as you'll see, this is where he's going to Terrastalize. This is a little bit unfortunate if he chooses to just Raw Earthquake, because we know he's Adamant and we know he's Soft Sand. And that, to be honest, will be taking out my Pecharunt if he chooses to Earthquake here. And that is exactly what he's going to do. In comes the Earthquake. That is going to take out my Pecharunt, who's done a good job taking down the Ogerpon. That crit didn't matter in the slightest. But now we have Flygon in Terrastalizing at full health. However, he has not gone for Dragon Dance. This is very crucial, because now is when I have to bring in Iron Valiant and try and hit him as hard as possible. The plan here, go Valiant, hit Moonblast. If he takes me out, I can then revenge him with Meloetta. If he goes for Dragon Dance, or doesn't take me out, then we can go for Vacuum Wave and hopefully take him out from there. So, back in is going to come Iron Valiant, and as I say, my play here is just to go for Moonblast. I actually think Close Combat would have done more, but I was thinking at the time that I don't want to take any drops, just in case we might have a chance to live a hit from near full. So what I'm going to do is go for Moonblast, and as I say, if he takes us out, we can then hopefully revenge with Meloetta. If he doesn't take us out, then we can hopefully go for Vacuum Wave on the subsequent turn, and two-shot him from full with a combo of both. So here comes the Moonblast. As you'll see, that's going to do a very good amount of damage. We get a special attack drop, it doesn't matter. Take the Life Orb recoil, Flygon is going to go for Dragon Dance. This is a little bit spooky scary, but from the range of health that he is at, a Life Orb Vacuum Wave should be able to take him out. Here we go, Vacuum Wave going to come in, and it is going to take out the Flygon. That's pretty huge. Flygon goes down, we still have a very healthy looking Iron Valiant, but Terrapagos is left. And we've seen before that Terapagos, with its back against the wall, can win matches. So, I'm going to explain this as we're going, so I have a lot of time to do so. My plan here, when Terapagos hits the field, stay in and click Moonblast. The reason I'm going to do that is because I need to break that Terra Shell. And it makes sure that he can't set up. Because he can't go for Calm Mind, because I'll just kill him with close combat. As you'll see, in comes the Terapagos. And as I say, I'm going to just click Moonblast here. If he chooses to kill us, so be it. We should hopefully then be able to take him on 1v1 with Raging Bolt. If he chooses to set up a Rock Polish, we then get our chip with Vacuum Wave and go from there. If he goes for Calm Mind, we just win with close combat. So, Moonblast is going to be my play. If we can snag a cheeky special attack drop, so much the better. So, Moonblast is going to be the move I go for. Obviously, the Terra Shell is going to make it not very effective, but it's still going to do about 15 or so %, and we do get the special attack drop. That is pretty big. FinFin here is just going to go for the Terra Starstorm. Now, even at -1, that is going to take out our negative Spadef Natured Iron Vow. But this has pretty much set the stage for Raging Bolt to come in and try and finish off this game. So, in comes Raging Bolt, fresh, and yeah, essentially what I'm going to do here is just start dropping Dracos. I could start going for sub, I could start going for Calm Minds, but I don't want to take the risk of him being able to fire off Earth Powers, maybe getting crits. What I want to do is just get consistent damage, and Draco Meteor is going to be my best way of doing that. So Finn is going to go for Dark Pulse here and do not very much, as Draco is going to come in and do a significant chunk more. Now, this is looking pretty good for us. I mean, he wasn't able to set up on Iron Vow under the threat of just losing, but I figure if he had Calm Mind or Rock Polish, this is where he would have gone for it. He couldn't against Iron Valiant, having seen the Vacuum Wave. So now I'm pretty sure he's not packing significant setup. He's going to go for the Dark Pulse again, do very little, not get a flinch. We're going to go for Draco Meteor and not quite take him out, unfortunately. But here's a very, very easy range to take out. Even if by some miracle Raging Bolt doesn't do it, Meloetta will be able to come in and finish him off. I don't have to risk a Draco miss, I can just go for T-Bolt. He's going to go for Terra Starstorm, his best move to hit me. It's not going to do nearly enough damage, unfortunately for him. We're going to go for T-Bolt. That is going to take out the Terapagos, down it goes, and that is going to be the game. So yeah, really good game there to FinFin and the Blüdhaven Palafinfins. We do take a 2-0 win, which is fantastic. That has put us right back on track. Leads us at 5-2 with a +5 differential and a really, really healthy position on the table. Yeah, I think we played that as well as we could have, really. Able to get some good early momentum with Meloetta doing a lot of work. We did get lucky, admittedly, against the Ogerpon with that crit echoing from full. In reality, we still would have been able to 1v1 that Ogerpon outside of crits happening, which fingers crossed they don't. Of course, we did get one. And yeah, I spoke to FinFin after the game, and maybe he could have terrored the Flygon earlier, but these are decisions we make in the moment. And as someone who last season was really anti-terroring my Ogerpon Cornerstone, I get it. You know, you make decisions in the heat of the moment, and sometimes they don't work out when it comes to terroring or choosing not to. So I get it. You know, it be that way sometimes. But it does mean that we take a very nice victory going into the very back half of the season. We're at a very, very good position on the table. And yeah, pretty happy with how things have gone here. Next week, we are going to be taking on Gentleman Thomas, a very good player who's had a bit of a rough patch this season, but he is never one to take lightly, and we certainly won't be doing that. In the meantime, do make sure to go down in the description, check out links to FinFin. They're down there along with everyone else taking part in the league. Make sure you check out his battles. He's got some really cracking content going on his channel, so definitely do go and give that a watch. But yeah, I'm going to get out of here. I've rambled on far too long. So, my final thank you to you all for watching. And I guess with that, I'll see you next time. Laters.